the cloud. System dialog.
All right. Good evening, everybody. This is it's iBUGS Live, and today is August 24th, 2023. Thank you for joining us. We are going to do a few quick announcements, and then we'll get the show started. So we are iBUG today. We're a nonprofit organization based in Houston. We have several training and social events throughout the month, about 21 to be exact. A few things that are coming up this week. Tomorrow we have the iBUG night at the virtual movies. That's always one of our more popular events. It's an audio described movie at 8 p.m. Central. Social time at 7:30. We're going to be watching When a Man Loves a Woman, starring Meg Ryan and Andy Garcia. That's from 1994. Then we are off this weekend, and then Monday we'll have our iBUG Buzz 7 to 9 Central.
System dialog.
All
More
things
options
we'll
to-
talk about are iPhones and peripherals and all that good stuff.
Free
So if you
voice
have
join the
questions about that, please come on Monday night. It's a great place to get real-time answers to your questions about your iPhone. You don't have to comb through any mailing lists or anything like that. You get live answers right then. Then Tuesday we are off because it is the 5th Tuesday. We are definitely driven by the calendar here at iBUG. Wednesday off. Thursday is what is Thursday? Oh, another 5th month. It's all weird. Okay, anyway, so we're gonna have a nice quiet week next week. Let's enjoy it. And then we have our book club coming up on September 14th, and it is called Wish You Were Here by Jodi Picoult. And the
Finder.
DB
Mail. 2 new items. Mail.
number
iBUG Book Club. September
is
14th. All
what?
trash. Window. Please join us for the next meeting of the. Please join us for. Please join us for.
I
the
knew it
please
a
join us
minute
for the ne-
ago,
Please join
but
us.
I can't tell.
5:30. Dunhap. Diana O'Toole is perfectly on track.
So we
Wish
will
you were here.
come for,
Jodi
oh yeah,
Picoult.
DB
105
105-742, 105-742. It's about almost 12 hours. So get ready. You got about 2 weeks to get ready for that book, and that'll be 6:30 on September 14th. If you want to register and get all of our information about upcoming events, we're going to get a nice new listing of all the things coming out in the month of September as we end the month of August. So just be looking out for that. Register. It doesn't cost anything. We'll have a fun event on the September 2nd. It's called, I believe it's called Remember When. We're going to be talking, it's iBUG Unplugged, remembering how it was in, quote, the good old days. So please join us for that. And with that, I will hand it back to you, George.
Okay, so did I hear correct? There's no Apple workshop this weekend?
Nope, we are off because some people are, part of our iBUG team is doing the ACBT convention in San Antonio.
Oh, that's right, in San Antonio. That's true.
Yeah, so yeah,
Okay.
definitely, yeah. We'll be back in September though. Yeah.
Okay.
Regards.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks to all you guys for joining today for another version of It's iBUGS Life. That you guys are here. We are going to have a special guest presenter to talk on this month's topic, which I don't remember the exact title, but you guys probably have gotten an email or saw it on the website about being safe.
Yeah, it's better safe than sorry, George.
Being safe than sorry. That's the title of it. And so I thought, since that was a good topic, the person who I'm going to present to all of you guys, I've been knowing this lady for a couple of decades. Because I used to live in Kansas City, Missouri for a substantial amount of time. And because a mutual friend is how I got to know her. I knew her. Well, it's strange. I knew her husband before I knew her, but actually, when we got to talking a lot, I found out I knew her before I knew her husband, and that's a long story. If anybody's interested, we'll probably talk about that in garbage time.
Garbage time?
Well, the time where we run out of stuff to talk about at the end.
Okay. Are we going to do introductions?
We will. I was getting to that. I'm just rambling for a moment.
Okay, a little bit of early garbage time.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I do. Anyway, so before we get started, before I bring her on, what I like to do is find out who's out here, because I know we have people chiming in from all across the country and sometimes even out of the country. So if you guys hit the guided button that you accept to be recorded, you got to hit that, and then you'll be able to unmute and say your name and the place that you are calling from.
Jacob from Michigan.
Welcome, Jacob from Michigan. Julie from Houston. Thank you.
Nancy from Arlington, Virginia.
Nancy from Arlington, not too far from the Pentagon. All right, who's next?
Derek from Houston, Texas.
Derek, welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Julia from Ontario.
Audio now unmuted.
Somebody from Ontario?
Julia from Ontario. And
Julie
then
from Ontario.
Miss Priscilla is there too.
Priscilla, she's also from Ontario?
No, from Arlington.
Arlington, okay. Okay,
Helene,
Arlington.
New Jersey. Helene from Woodstock, New York.
Woodstock,
Vincent,
New
New
York.
Jersey.
New Jersey,
Hello.
welcome. Who else?
Hello from Shay in Seattle.
Seattle. Mm.
Jerry
Not
from
to
Oklahoma.
say much, 'cause y'all, Seattle swept my Astros
Audio
last
now
weekend,
unmuted.
so y'all not. Yeah, I'm not liking y'all right now. But that's another time.
Okay, yeah.
Who else was the other person?
Hello, ATL from Chicago.
From Chicago.
Yeah.
Ellen Earls from Scottsdale, Arizona.
Arizona.
Yes.
Welcome.
This is Holly from Santa Cruz, California, on the coast.
Holly from Santa Cruz. Welcome.
Thank you.
Amen.
Okay. Somebody go again. I heard two of you at the same time, but I could not make it out.
Priscilla, mute. Jody Iannuzzi. Jerry from Tulsa.
Dana in Cincinnati.
Mute button.
Cincinnati.
Jerry from Tulsa.
Okay. Who else? Who was it? You know, there was you and a lady. Who was the lady that went of you at the same time?
Helene, mute. Ellis
Janet
Eric
from
Suarez.
From where?
Maryland.
Maryland. Okay. Welcome.
Dan Blank. Mr. Dana. Mute button. More options.
Brian from Ontario, Canuckland.
Ontario.
Yeah.
Is that Canada
Ellen
also?
Earls.
Yep.
Okay. Got some Canadians in here. Okay.
Yeah, it's Canuckland.
All right. Next. Anybody else?
Elisa and Porter.
Hey, Porter. Elisa from Porter. Porter, Texas. Porter, Texas, guys.
Mercy.
Jody from New Hampshire.
Billy from New
Your
Hampshire.
audio mute.
Hi, George.
This is Sandhya in Houston.
Sandy is from Houston. I think I know you.
Yeah, and we might want to ask everybody at the end if there's anybody new and how they heard about us. So,
Okay. That's what Sandy just asked. Anybody that's your first time or second time joining us, if you're new to iBUGS, how did you hear about us? Well, I know that some of you guys are new to me.
Audio
Say it
now
again.
unmuted.
I think this is Sunday. I think somebody said they got an email. How about the lady from Santa Cruz? How did you hear about us? You'll have to unmute. Okay, well, we may get back to it. Okay.
And remember, if you're calling on your phones, you got to hit the unmute button. If you happen to be on a Mac computer or a Windows computer using Zoom, I know it's Alt-A to unmute. I think it's Command-Alt-A.
Yes.
on the Mac.
This is Holly from Santa Cruz, and I heard about iBUG from some very good friends.
Audio now unmuted.
All right,
Okay.
that's great. Okay.
Thank
Nancy,
good friend.
Judy, and Rita.
File yes or no.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? If you're new, tell us how you hear about it, or anybody else did not get a chance to introduce themselves yet. Okay, hearing crickets, I guess we all are in attendance. My name is George. I am in Houston right now. I'm originally from New Orleans. You guys already know that. And I'm somebody who, I guess we got started with this because of the position I work in. I work for Texas Workforce Commission. And one of the tasks I used to do is teach people alternative techniques, those who are blind or low vision, for what if it's at home or at work or things like that. I now have a new position, but I still have knowledge of this stuff because people still call me. So I'm right now I'm an employment assistance specialist with the state. And so this is how this platform came about. We decided that we would share some alternative techniques, how to fix things where vision is not an obstacle. And I think I'm going to go back inside because it's thundering, and then I'm starting to get hot. But I digress. Y'all don't need to know that. So let me get back to introducing the speaker. Yeah, we're going to talk about SAFE. And the reason why I brought her along, because that's her livelihood. Her passion, from my observation, I've been in the audience of a couple of her presentations, her virtual presentations, and she's really all about making sure everybody is safe, whether if you are traveling, whether if you're in your home, whether if you are walking or riding or whatever. So if you guys have questions, we're going to always use the rule that if you have a question or something that you heard and you want to get the presenter's attention, just say your name and wait to be recognized, and then we will acknowledge you, and then that way you have the chance to ask your question. But if you're not speaking, we do ask that you put yourself back on mute so that the presentation can be heard by everybody smoothly, especially if you got background noise. So I'm probably going to go on mute while I move from off my patio and go inside. So without further ado, I'm going to present the safety lady. Her name is Tracey Hawikins. She's the owner, and Tracey, forgive me if I get the name wrong, of Safety and Security Source. She has a website, and I'm going to let her actually talk about her business, her passion, and then she can go ahead and present. So Tracey, welcome.
Thank you, George. Now, George told me I had 3 hours to talk nonstop. Is that correct?
Well, let me go get some popcorn because maybe that's going to be a while. No, not 3 hours.
No, I know. Okay.
Everybody what? 3 hours?
I know everyone's logging off. I typically have a 60-minute presentation, but George explained that you have a little more time than that because you like to have questions, ask questions. So that is perfectly fine. As we go along, as George said, if you have something to say, just say your name, and then I will stop talking. George also mentioned that if we have time at the end, he'll talk about how we met. We're not going to have time at the end because I am a talker. So let me tell you this really quickly. George and I am a Army brat. I lived in Oklahoma. I'm Anoki from Muskogee. I live in Kansas City, Missouri now, and I did live in New Orleans. And like George said, we both were there at a school, in grade school, at the exact same time. Didn't know each other, nothing. And then like a few years, that was back in the 70s. So George, we've known each other for a long, long time, or been in each other's presence. And he became good friends with my husband. Now, my husband happens to be visually challenged, and we've been married 37 years, together 39. So he keeps me on the straight and narrow. And my husband happens to be, I think he's amazing because he has great mobility skills, and he can do things, and people always question whether or not, as they say, whether or not he's blind, but he keeps me on the straight and narrow, and to make sure that everything that I say is applicable. And if you find something is not, I don't mind you correcting me. So here's what's going to happen. This evening, I am going to talk to you about ways to live and to work in a safe manner. I'm going to talk about personal safety. I will cover home security. I am going to talk about social media safety. And then the new topic is AI, artificial intelligence safety. Are any of you all using any of the generative tools like ChatGPT or Bard, Bing, any of those yet?
I'm not yet. I hear a whole lot about ChatGPT, but I haven't dived into it yet.
Okay.
I am.
Who I can't see on the
Who
screen.
said I am?
That was Janice.
Janice, I am curious. Tell me which one you're using and tell me how you're using it.
I'm using Ask AI. And I've used it to compose a prayer of intercession for church. Gave me a great prayer. I've used it to develop a letter. I have a friend who had a stroke and she needed to request a waiver of indebtedness, and it wrote me a great letter that I provided to the physicians so they wouldn't have to start from scratch.
Now, Janice, if you use Chat GPT to compose a prayer, was Chat GPT a believer? You don't have to understand. I'm being joking. I'm being silly.
But and just recently, we're having a NFB luncheon and we're having a program, and I had it compose the introduction to the program for me. So it's Ask AI, and I've done it within Ask AI and then Chat GPT to kind of see the difference in what's generated. And Ask AI. I know there's a one that has Annie in the title too, but Ask AI gives a much more detailed, robust response than Chat GPT. So,
wow.
and
Okay,
of course, I'll change some words so that it's more, like I would speak, so it's like, okay, I wouldn't say that word or whatever. So I'll, change it a little bit. But those three instances, I've gotten really good output.
Wonderful. And we're going to wind the program up with artificial intelligence cybersecurity, because people are jumping on the bandwagon, but they're not thinking about the cybersecurity risk. So we're going to wind up with that. We're going to go ahead and get started. One thing that I want to talk about would be ways to reduce your risk. And that's what we're going to cover this evening. Question: how would you describe a typical criminal? Who are you afraid of? Who do you not want to cross paths with? Someone give me an example of who you just don't want to see in a dark alley or cross paths with.
Again, you guys don't all unmute at once.
Yeah, exactly.
The question
Hi, this is Shay in Seattle, and I'm always afraid that somebody's going to mug me, like knock me down and mug me.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Anyone else?
This is Terry.
Oh, go ahead, Terry.
I do not like to have my phone out in my hand when I'm in public for fear that somebody's going to try and knock it out of my hand. And one time I was at a McDonald's in a food court, and a gentleman whom I knew was homeless and with whom I know security had problems before, came by and tried to bat my wallet out of my hands because his intent was to steal it. And he did it on purpose. I knew that by the way he did it. Unfortunately, I had a tight hold of it, so that didn't happen. And so I was never happy to see him in the McDonald's line because he had other than good intent.
Okay, excellent point. And Terry Ann, that's actually called iPhone jacking or ijacking. People see, typically it's tourists who are distracted. They're looking around, paying attention to their phone and not paying attention to what's going on. And it's easy for them to snatch those phones, and the phones are open, so they don't need a password and they have access to the phone. So that's an excellent point, that you need to keep your phone close in and in your hands, a tight hold on it. Now, I want to talk about not judging a book by its cover. And that means not how do I say this? Not judging someone based on who they are. Sometimes people say, oh, I'm afraid of people who are homeless. And there are, of course, more people who are homeless who are not going to bother us, or someone who says, I'm afraid of someone who's just loitering or hanging around. My point is that anyone can be a criminal. Anyone can be a threat. It could be a neighbor. It could be a friend. It could be a coworker. So what I teach is to trust other tools instead of making a judgment. One thing I talk about in my programs is when I'm making the point that you can't judge a book by its cover, I show an image of a guy, an older guy in a baseball cap next to a beat up, rusty pickup truck. And then I always ask the question, you know, if you were to see him out on the street, how would you feel? And a lot of people are like, I wouldn't want to deal with him. And then I provide the identity of the person. And the picture is of Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart. Sam Walton was one of the richest men in the world, but you would never know it looking at him. You would never know it talking to him. Someone said that he would go into a coffee shop and he wouldn't even have 50 cents to buy coffee. So people would probably think, I don't want to deal with him. You cannot judge a book by its cover. You can't make a snap decision. And then I show a picture of a guy, clean-cut guy, relatively nice looking. Anyone here know who Ted Bundy is? Unmute if you know and tell me who Ted Bundy is.
This is Sri, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
He's the serial killer.
Exactly. And Sri, do you remember how they used to describe Ted Bundy?
A very handsome, educated guy.
Everybody knows that. I don't know how everyone knows that. You're right. Clean-cut, charismatic, charming fella. So what he would do is he would wait in parking lots and he would have a crutch and he would, or put his arm in a sling. And, like I said, a relatively decent looking guy, you would never think. And then he would wait for women to come out and he would say, oh, I need help. Can you help me? And then they would think, oh, he must be okay. He looks okay. So based on that, they fell for it. He was able to kidnap them and kill them. I tell people don't make a judgment based on who someone is. If they're just because they work with you doesn't mean that they're safe. Just because they're wealthy doesn't mean that they're safe. Just because they're nice. I am not saying to be afraid of anyone and everyone, but I am saying we're going to talk about the tools that you need to use to determine whether or not someone could be a danger to you. Every single animal in nature has a built-in survival mechanism that is hardly ever wrong. All of us have it. Does anyone know what that is? What do we call that?
Repeat your question.
What do we, every single one of us, that means every animal in nature, including humans, we are born with a survival mechanism that is hardly ever wrong. It is something that can keep us safe. Who knows what we
This
call
is
it?
Terry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Terry.
Is it the fight or flight?
Yes. Good job. Anyone else know another name for it?
Shay.
No,
Did you say
that's what
something,
I was
George?
going to say too. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Fight or flight, instinct, intuition, gut, sixth sense. Some people call it spidey sense. No matter what you call it, every animal in nature has it. Human beings are the only ones who ignore it. And we ignore it because we want to be nice. We don't want to hurt someone's feelings. If you don't hear anything else this evening, you must hear this. If you ever get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, if your heart starts beating fast, if the hairs are standing up on your arms, the back of your neck, your body is telling you something. It is warning you that you are in danger. And I often tell people, don't try to make sense of it. Don't try to use logic and try to figure out what's wrong. When you get that feeling, get out of the situation. Our instinct, our intuition has one job and one job only, and that's to warn us when we're in danger. So when you get that feeling, listen to it, respect it. Later on, you may have to apologize or explain, but that feeling, that voice is never wrong. Anyone ever had that feeling and you either ignored it or you paid attention to it and you got out of maybe a potentially dangerous situation? Anyone have a story they want to share?
This is Sri.
Go ahead, Sri.
I just have a question. I'm a little confused because you said don't judge the book by its cover, but some of that fight and flight is based on a judgment call, isn't it? like you have that feeling based on something that you've experienced before.
The feeling, and I'm trying to think, the instinct, intuition doesn't come from nowhere. I know the sentence doesn't make sense, but that voice is separate and it operates on its own. It is saying there is danger, whether you know it, whether you see it, whether you realize it or not. That voice has no other job but to keep you safe. So that voice is saying you're in danger. And you're thinking, what's going on? You know, I'm here, I'm in a safe place, there's no one bothering me. It doesn't come from anywhere. So it's telling you there's something wrong. And for a lot of us, we may never know what it is, but we don't question it because it doesn't come from nowhere. Does that make sense?
I guess so. I'm a little confused with it, but I'll listen.
But I want to understand okay. I said don't judge a book by its cover, which means don't assume that someone is good just because they may be wealthy or just because they're a coworker or someone that you know. So a lot of crimes occur. I want to say 77% of the time, someone you know, someone known to you, especially in cases of assault or molestation, is someone who is known to you. So it's not going to be a stranger. So often we let our guards down because, again, we're amongst people that we know. Everyone we know can't be good, and you can't
Tracey,
be judgmental. Yes.
I think I probably can make have an example that Sri maybe can relate to. Sri, something like this happened to me once. Matter of fact, it happened when I lived in Kansas City, because I'm one of those individuals who somebody may say I'm very naive because, you know, I'm going to think everybody is good, everybody is nice until you show me that side. And so this would happen one time. I was riding on the city bus going to my apartment, and somebody offered to help me. I was carrying some boxes. They offered to help me carry the boxes to my apartment. And it had a nice sound in their voice. They were very pleasant, very friendly. And so, which means I let down my guard. I let them in there because I did need a little help, although I could have managed. But, you know, why not? If somebody wants to, you know, be like the good Samaritan or a good neighbor and offer to help, you know, why not? So I accepted their help. They walked with me all the way where I live. So I'm actually exposing them to exactly where I live. They came up the steps, came to the door, put the boxes on the inside. And that person who's talking all nice asked, you know, could they use the restroom, which, you know, this is a very small apartment I had at the time, and I didn't think nothing of it. But then when they actually left, like probably 6 minutes later, once I got comfortable arranging all my packages, I noticed that quick time they stole from me. They stole a portable CD player that I had sitting in a recliner chair, and they also stole my cell phone. Now, at the time, I had a landline phone, so losing the cell phone, I didn't like it because, for one thing, you took something that was mine that I paid for, but I was able to block the phone. You know, I was able to make a call, cancel out. So I guess all they could do is either sell it to some other person who they can take advantage of, even though the phone will be reported as being stolen and cannot be used. But just the idea that I let my guard down, I judged them as somebody that's being friendly, but realized this was actually a crook because they stole from me. They took advantage of me. Does that help somewhat, Sri?
Wait, George. In hindsight, did you say I should have known better, or something didn't feel right, or I saw the warning signs? Did you have that conversation with yourself?
For probably a split second, because when they came all the way to my door, you know, I think I told them, okay, I got it from here. Then they kept saying, "Oh, you sure? Because I can put them on the inside for you." And, you know, something to them, I should not have done that, but me being gullible at that time, I let them in, and I should not have.
See, right there, that was your instinct saying, don't do it. And then that person didn't hear no. So when someone doesn't hear no, that's a problem because they're not respecting you. And that's when you need to be careful. So that voice did tell you, you know, right at this point is when I should have done something different. So thank you for sharing. Sri, did that give a great example of what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, there is a book called The Gift of Fear. I used to see the author, his name is Gavin D. Becker, on the Oprah show all the time. And he would talk about intuition, instinct. And that book is almost like the Bible of the safety industry. And it talks about not saying no. There's even a sample of a woman carrying in her groceries. This almost just what you said, George. She was carrying in her groceries up the stairs, and a guy offered to help, and he did. And then she got to her door, and she was saying, "I'm good." And he said, "No, let me help you." And she let him in, and then the results were awful. So if someone doesn't say no, that's a clue that they're not hearing you and you need to be careful. So what we're going to talk about are ways to reduce your risk. Number one, we're going to talk about instinct. We just talked about it and how that could save your life. If you listen to that voice, you could avoid most crimes. I'm talking about any kind of crime in any part of your life. We're going to talk about fear, confidence, awareness, having a safety plan, and taking a calculated risk. You always hear people or safety experts say, be confident, look strong, look around, look alert and aware. So that means carry yourself with confidence. And that's one thing people always say about my husband, because he doesn't walk slow. He doesn't linger. He walks fast. He walks assured. And sometimes it's like, wait, slow down. But he is walking like he's paying attention and that he knows where he's going. If you do that, people won't think that you are helpless. So you need to be assured. You need to know where you're going. And I talk about a couple of stories that I've heard about people who were a little too confident. So there is a such thing as being too confident. There was a serial killer here in the Kansas City, or serial rapist, I'm sorry, here in the Kansas City area. And he was targeting young women. So there was a grandmother who was with her granddaughter, and her granddaughter happened to be a black belt. And they were in a parking lot, and that's similar to where this guy was targeting people. And the grandmother decided just to test her granddaughter. She said, what would you do if I weren't here and someone matching the description of the guy who's in the news targeting young women, and he approached you? What would you do? And the granddaughter, she said, I would take him down, because she's a black belt. So she's thinking, I could take him down. Can someone tell me what the right answer would be? The safe answer?
This is Jody.
Mhm.
I've got a black belt, and the first thing I would do would be to run like hell.
Thank you. Exactly. The whole point is to
Actually, I've got
avoid
2 black belts,
confrontation.
so I'd run doubly fast.
But you make the point for me. Just because you can do it doesn't mean that that's what you need to do. The whole point is to avoid any kind of contact. That's the first thing. And then you use your black belt if all else fails. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, I also had an opportunity to talk to a woman. She was a senior citizen, and she carried a gun with her everywhere. And I asked the question, what would you do if your car broke down on the side of the road? She said, I would get out of my car, go off to the side of the road, maybe behind some bushes or hide behind something until help arrived. What is the correct answer if you're in a car that's stranded on the side of the road? What is the correct answer?
This is Terry.
Go ahead.
I would lock the doors of my car and stay in the car and
Exactly.
wait for help.
That's the right answer. She thought because she had a gun that she could get out and she could take on anyone. So being too confident could get you in trouble. So excellent answers. The opposite of that is don't be afraid of everything. Everything. Same senior citizen in her house. She has a can of pepper spray in her shower, a can of pepper spray in her laundry room, and near the front door. She is petrified all of the time. So that is something, if you're always scared, then you're not allowing yourself to be alert and aware to know what really is a danger. There was a young woman in one of my programs, and she said that she didn't go out to socialize. She said she was too scared to go out. I said, what are you scared of? She said, do you remember the stories? And I'm asking you all, do you all remember? It seems like when I was a kid, a teenager, there was always a story in the news or circulating about people waiting underneath cars with a razor blade to cut people's ankles as they got in the car. Anyone else heard that other than me?
Yeah, this is Dana. I've heard that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for letting me not be the only one. I just remember for some reason always hearing that made the rounds. So this young lady, and this was about 15 years ago, that ruled her. She didn't go out and socialize. She was scared whenever she had to go out and go to the store. Here's my question. Her focus was on getting to her car and making sure there was no one under her car with a razor blade to cut her ankles. Has anyone here heard a news story about someone getting their ankles cut while walking and getting in their car? Yes or no? Anyone heard it?
No.
Exactly.
This is Terry. I've heard of people being harmed while they're trying to get to their car, but not having their ankles cut.
Right. And thank you for chiming in, but that was her fear. So that limited
This
her
is
life
Dana
because she was
again.
afraid.
I've actually heard that. I've heard that people have had their ankles cut.
Really?
Yep.
And I mean, it had to happen at some point for them to even have the warning. So you're right. I haven't heard it in the news. I haven't heard it as a news story, and I haven't heard it recently, but it happened obviously somewhere. All the same, this young lady let that rule her life. She let it shape her life. Next question. When she's walking out of a grocery store or walking out of her job and she's walking to her car, she is solely focused on what's under her car. Is she paying attention to what's going on around her? Is she paying attention if someone may be following her? No, because she's focused on something that's necessary, that's potentially unrealistic. So I want you to focus on what's a realistic danger, something that could actually happen, instead of focusing your energy on something that will distract you. You need to pay attention to what goes on around you. That means know who is around you. I can't tell you how many times people walk up to my husband and they say something and they'll say, how did you know it was me? Or, how did you know? How did you know I was here? And then he says, I pay attention. And it's not, and people always want to think that he has some superpower and that his powers of observation or smell or sound are better than everyone else's. He said, no, that's not it. Mine, we're all created the exact same. I just pay attention more. So what I'm telling you is if you are walking or at a bus stop or anywhere in public and you have plugs in your ears, that means you don't know what's going on around you. That means someone could walk up behind you. You will not hear them coming. So you don't know what's happening around you. I used to have a problem when I would walk in a store. I would just walk in and go directly to wherever I'm going. I never stopped to pay attention to what's going on around me. I never stopped to pay attention to whether or not there may be a disturbance. If there was, let's say there was someone robbing the store at the register, I wasn't focused on that because I was so busy coming in doing what I wanted. Now, when I walk in, I pause and I listen and I look around and I make sure there are no arguments, no disagreements, and that there's nothing happening, because otherwise I'm going to be stuck inside. I'm going to be oblivious. So paying attention is the key. I also wanted to talk today about having a safety plan. That means you need to know what you're going to do or what you will do in case something goes wrong. Don't wait until you're in the moment. Something goes wrong. Most of us cannot think on our feet. So you need to play, I call it the what if game, which means you know what to do in case something happens. People talk about living in fear. I don't want you to live in fear. I know people who won't go out by themselves, and I know people who are afraid to go in certain neighborhoods, people who will not walk because they're living in fear. That's no way to live. If you are paying attention and you know what you will do, if you have a safety plan, that empowers you, because you know if something goes wrong, you already know what you're going to do when it happens. So let's play a game. We're going to play the what if game. So here's the question. What do you do if someone is breaking into your house at night? So let's say tonight you're in bed, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, no one should be there, and you hear someone trying to get in your house. What do you do?
This is Jody.
Go ahead.
Probably lock myself in the bathroom and with my phone and call 911.
Excellent point. That means Jody's safety plan is that she knows that she has a bathroom with a lock on it and she has her phone accessible, so she doesn't have to fumble and look for it. She's got it right there and she's going to call 911. That's your safety plan. Good point. Did Derek I see Derek was unmuted. Derek, did you want to jump in? Go ahead.
Well, I would pull my gun out and just hold it, and just listen to where the sounds were coming from.
Okay, so Derek's safety plan is to pull out his gun. That means that he has his gun accessible, he has it handy, and he's not going to be afraid to pull it out, and he won't be afraid to use it if necessary. Excellent point. Now, Dana, did you have, you're muted now. I see a phone number, 312 phone number. Who is that?
This is Jonathan. What I would do is I'll get my cell phone but I'll leave the house. I don't want to be in the house with them.
I heard the cell phone part. What was the second part?
I said, I'll get my cell phone and leave the house. I do not want to be in the house with them.
Understood. So your safety plan is grabbing your cell phone and getting out. So that means you have an escape route already planned. It could be out of a window, it could be out of a back door or side door. So that means you know what you're going to do. Any given situation, we need to have an escape plan. Here's the second question. What do you do if someone, oh, I'm sorry, who was that?
No, this is Jody again. I was just going to say, in addition to calling the police behind the locked door, I'd stand there with a baseball bat.
Whatever it takes, Jody. So Jody has her baseball bat ready to go. Excellent point. Now, here's the second question. What happens if someone follows you out of the grocery store? So you're walking out and you hear feet print and you know they're following you. No matter how you zig, how you zag, they're coming behind you. What do you do?
Julia.
Go ahead, Julia.
Well, if you're getting in a car to drive, or if you're walking, just take a different route. Like, do not go back to your house, but maybe walk or drive to the nearest police station.
Excellent point. Thank you, Julia. Excellent point. Give me one more. George's hand is raised. George? Did you accidentally raise your hand? Or do you want to say
Yeah,
anything?
I did. That was an accident. I didn't mean to raise that. Let me put it back down. I'm stretching.
Okay.
This is Shrey.
Okay, go ahead, Shrey.
I was going to say, I'll probably go to the next store and try to go to a different store. Have the person follow me.
Okay, so that means you're alert and aware. So that means you're going to go somewhere else where there are other people. Excellent point. Julia, you're unmuted. Did you want to jump in here?
Oh, no, sorry. I never remuted.
Oh, okay. Okay, so bottom line is, in any situation, have a plan if something goes wrong. I'm not telling you to live in fear. I'm not saying be paranoid. I'm just saying, in your mind, run through a plan. One of my favorite stories was about a senior citizen waiting at a bus stop by herself, and is isolated. There's no one there, but she's at a bus stop, and then she sees a young man approaching her. She knows he's up to no good. So she can't get up, she can't run. So she waits until he gets right in front of her. And she says, "Don't I know your mother?" Right then and there, he was shocked. First and foremost, he thought she was going to be petrified, and she was not. She spoke to him. Secondly, what if she really did know his mom? She was able to think fast on her feet. Most of us can't. So before you take off walking, just think, what do I do if someone's behind me? Have it mapped out. Do I turn and confront them and say hi? Or do I turn and walk the opposite direction? Or do I walk faster? Or do I pull out my weapon, whether it's an alarm, pepper spray, or who's that who had that gun? Or whatever your weapon is, then you have to have it accessible. You have to have it handy. If you're about to go, let's say, a rideshare ride or Uber, and you feel uncomfortable, you've had a bad experience, then the question is, what is your safety plan? Do you have your phone open? You're talking to someone and you're letting them know who you're with and what's going on and where you're located. So that way, if you need help, that's your safety plan. My whole point is, don't wait until you're in a dangerous situation to decide what to do. Run the plays in your head, so that way you're empowered. One thing everyone needs to do is to make sure someone knows where you are at all times. My sister, I have a twin sister, she laughs at me, George knows her, and she says, "Why do grown-ups have to do that? Adults don't have to check in." We had a serial rapist in Kansas City, and he was targeting women who lived alone, and he would break into their homes. And at that time, everyone was saying, make sure someone knows where you are at all times. I had a woman whose family, she said, "I live here by myself." She said, "My daughter is in Dallas." And she said, if I go somewhere and I don't check in with my daughter has already told me she is calling the police if she can't reach me. So what I'm saying is, you need to have someone who knows where you are. It could be a friend, a relative, a neighbor, a sibling, an adult child, just someone you can just text and say, "Hey, I'm on my way to the store or the library, or I'm on my way to the grocery store." I already said that. But the whole point is, what happens if you don't do that? What if you think like my sister and you think, "I'm grown, I don't have to tell anyone where I am." And you decided, let's say when we get done with the meeting this evening, to go for a walk. and you do, and you don't tell anyone because you don't have to. Happens if something happens to you, whether you fall, you hurt yourself and you're unable to call for help or move, or if someone kidnaps you or anything. Question: if you haven't told anyone, does anyone even know that you're missing? They do not. So it's a good idea to check in. Hey, I'm on my way home from the grocery store. I'm on my way home from work. I decided to go by the store. And you're just letting someone know where you are. That way, if you don't show up where you're supposed to be or in a timely manner, they can give that information to law enforcement officials and they can retrace your step so you at least know that help is on the way.
This is Shri.
I have addition.
Go ahead, Shri.
Some of these things, should we practice this? Because I can just picture myself, I have the thought process like what Jody's example was, but maybe when that situation really arises, your mind is not thinking as
Nikolai Petrov.
your mind is not really thinking that, oh, this is what I got to do, because it's just your mind doesn't work that way.
Right, but that you're making my point, Shri. So think about it. If you don't, you're thinking about it is the first step. That means you're already going through what your steps are going to be. So you're already thinking, when I get done with this meeting, I'm going to go for a walk down to the corner. You're already thinking about it. So that means you have a plan in place. If I go for a walk and someone's following me, then I know I'm going to double back and come home, or I know there's a secret alley or somewhere around the corner that I can go, or I have a friend's house to go to. But let's say you don't think about it, which is part of the safety plan I'm talking about. Let's say it never crossed your mind. So you're the guy who's thinking, I can do what I want to do. I don't have to check in. So that's where you're in trouble, because once you're doing that, you're going for that walk and you haven't checked in, you haven't told anyone, and you haven't thought about what you're going to do, then here you are panicking because you haven't even thought about it. So thinking about it and making the plan, that's the first step, Shri. Okay, George, is your hand up on purpose or are you still stretching?
All right,
Oh, I never put my hand back down. Let me do that. I'm sorry.
This is Janice.
Oh, okay. Go ahead,
Hi,
Janice.
this is Jonathan.
So my husband has elderly parents and they were going out late at night and not telling anyone. So he put trackers on their cell phone. Now, if they go outside of their home more than a certain circumference, he gets an alert and he can see exactly where they are.
Perfect. That's a geofence device, which means if they go outside of a certain area, he gets an alert. I'm going to talk to you about some tool that we already all have on our phone now that will allow us to share our location. It will also allow us to know if where our phone or our devices are. And all of you all are familiar with those Apple, those AirPods, and the little Google trackers. So that's an excellent point, Janice. And it's good for people who have Alzheimer's disease. It's good for people who have children who are autistic, because they do like to move around and they move fast. So that's a great way to keep track of someone without violating their privacy or disrespecting them. Jonathan, did you have a question?
No, I had a statement. You mentioned about letting people know where you are. I happen to know that it's also a safety net. If something terrible happens around you, you have an alibi because you already told somebody where you will be. Whereas if something happens, you don't have an alibi. And even though the law said you're guilty, you're innocent until you're proven guilty, they treat you like you're guilty until you're proven innocent. So
Wait,
I also find that to be.
Did you say alibi?
Yeah. I said an alibi.
I'm sorry, I don't know if it's my earphones or the microphone.
Yeah.
No, I said it is an alibi. If something terrible happens around you, you have an alibi if you told somebody where you'll be. Whereas if you didn't.
About alibis, right. Right, that's a different way to look at it, an alibi, or or just checking in. And how often do you send text messages all the time just to say, hey, I'm going to the store? That's all you have to do, a simple text message saying, this is where I'm going, this is where I'll be. It doesn't have to be a big production, just simple and easy. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about now is how to assess your risk. People take calculated risk all the time. You can't live in a paranoid world. You can't be afraid of everything. I remember going to it was what do you call it, a casino. I like listening to live music. My husband and I, we listen to music. So there's a casino, and there was a couple. She went out on the floor to dance, and she left her purse on top of the table. And I remember just watching her. She was oblivious to it, not paying attention to the purse, not worried about it. When she came back to a seat, I had to go over and ask, "It's like, why did you leave your purse there? Are you not afraid?" She said, "Look," basically, she took a calculated risk. She said, "I'm in a casino. They have 1,000,000 cameras here. There are security guards everywhere." She said, "I'm betting that no one's going to dare bother my purse." So she took a calculated risk. If she was just in a public place, in a restaurant, and left a purse on the table, that's not a calculated risk. I talk about people leaving their garage doors open. If you live on a busy street or a street where there's a lot of loitering and your garage door is open, that's not wise. I happen to live in a neighborhood that's on a cul-de-sac, a dead end. My neighbors leave their garage doors open all of the time because they're thinking there's no through traffic. I'm the girl who says I don't trust anyone. So they take a risk that nothing's going to happen. So you need to make a risk, take an assessment on whatever the situation may be. Let me talk to you all about crime scene number 2.
Wait a
Let's
minute,
say you're
Tracy,
in a-
hold on.
Oh,
There was somebody named Derek had his hand raised. I don't know if he still
oh, okay. Derek. Derek?
I have a question regarding, this question also tracks with something George just said about letting the gentleman help him when he got off the bus. Even if George didn't let the gentleman help him, what if he had bad intentions and just followed George to his apartment door and then just pushed him in when he opened it? Because that's one of the fears I have. What if someone just follows me to my front door when I'm out on a walk?
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Derek. Do you think George would have known if that guy, after George said, no, thank you, do you think George would have known that the guy was following him?
No.
George, would you have known if the guy decided to follow you?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, yes, I would, because this is what Will and a bunch of us have in common who are independent travelers. We do pay attention to everything. If there was such a thing as 20/20 hearing, I always say I have it, because just like someone who is sighted, they're looking at all the surroundings. I'm listening to everything, and I can hear footsteps. I can hear clothes, the material rubbing on their skin. They may breathe a certain way. I just have a way, and I cannot describe it, but I can definitely tell when I'm being followed, and I take other actions. Either I will go somewhere else. I may turn around and say, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" To let them know I am aware that you're near me. And sometimes that throws them off.
Excellent, excellent. So Derek, did you hear that? Because
Yes.
George is paying attention, his safety plan is, okay, first and foremost, he knows someone's following him because he is paying attention. And number 2, he's thinking in his mind, what do I do if this person keeps following me? He just said it. I'll turn around and say hi. And then that will catch them off guard because they're thinking that they're doing something and that they're being sneaky. But he is saying, hey, I am paying attention to you. If you're going to do something, this will not be easy. So pay attention, and then don't let them think that you're scared. That's where I talk about walking with confidence and walking with assurance, like you know where you're going and you're not afraid of anything. You could be shaking inside, but don't let them see it. So if you're
It's
paying
Mary
attention,
Ellen.
Go ahead, Mary Ellen.
I use Ira on my iPhone, and if I'm in an Uber or a Lyft, I will tell the driver. I have a voice guidance system here working with me. We have a GPS, and if necessary, we will take pictures. We
So
will
wait,
take
Mary
your
Ellen.
picture.
Mary Ellen, how do you phrase it? Are you saying it just like that? Hey, if you do something, I'm taking your picture. Or do you say it like, I have this great tool, if anything goes wrong, don't worry, I'll be able to take pictures just to make them aware. Tell me the tone and the way you say it.
Well, I usually just say, I have this really cool tool, and what we will, what it does is these people tell me where I am and where we're going. And I said, we can take pictures if necessary.
So don't be alarmed, Uber driver, if you hear talking or anything, because I have this tool and it's me talking to my friends. They see where I am, they know where I'm going. So that is a way to increase witness potential. Criminals are cowards. They don't want witnesses. So if they think someone is watching you or with you and can hear what's going on, they're going to think twice because they don't want witnesses. Mary Ellen, what's the name of the tool again?
Aira, AIRA. If you're totally blind, it's been around for what, 7 years?
About 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a
not aware
service.
of that.
Trace, it's a service. It's a subscribed service that anyone
It's a
who has.
visual interpreter.
Okay. Hold on, Mary Ellen.
Oh.
It's a subscribed service that anyone who wants it, whether they have an Android or an iPhone, it's live people that will call. You can call them, and they use the back-facing camera of your phone to see whatever you need them to see. They're like your extra assistants, and they can provide directions. They can help people read things, look on their computer screen. It's almost just like having an extra pair of eyes for someone who doesn't have any vision. It's a great service.
But it's a real person, though. It's a real
It's a
person.
real
looking at
It's a
your
real
screen?
person. Yes.
Live people.
Amazing.
You can go to the
amazing.
website AIRA.il if you want to read up about it.
This is
How
Shree.
much is it per month for those who may not know about it?
Well, they have different plans. They have because you probably certain minutes. You have like a 30-minute plan where you pay I think like $29.99 a month. There's a 120-minute plan where you pay $99 a month. There's a 300. It depends on how much
Wow.
you feel you will be using it to determine which plan you're going to purchase.
Excellent. Thank you for bringing that up, and thanks for sharing the information. Shree, you had a question?
May I just say another
Oh.
thing? I had an experience in an Uber, and I got this really creepy feeling. And fortunately, I had a seeing eye dog, and the dog usually got in cars, and he would lie down. He sat up, and he would not lie down, and he put his head between the seats, and he was going, you know how they do. And I mean, this guy had second thoughts because, he had this huge golden retriever basically in his face.
Mhm.
So, did your dog sense something, or is it why he had his
Obviously,
The answer
because
is
he
yes.
would not obey me.
Okay,
The
and
answer
dogs
is
are
yes.
yeah, they do. They are protectors of their masters. They definitely
They
are.
have intuition like us, but the difference is they don't get distracted by other things. They're solely focused on it. So yes, your dog sensed something and he saved you from who knows what. Shree, you had a question?
Yeah, I want to piggyback on what George's story. So George, when you went into your place and when the guy took the stuff, did you know he was taking stuff or did you only know it after the fact?
No, I didn't recognize that the stuff was gone till they had left. When I actually started organizing my packages, and I was I probably was looking for my cell phone first and wondering, well, I know I had it. I know I set it here. And then after a certain amount of time passed by, and when I noticed my portable CD player was gone, and there's something that I could carry around, that's when I figured they stole it. And then I took my landline phone and called it. So that let me know it was gone.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking this question is I'm kind of piggyback with I think what it might have been what Derek said, or when somebody could have followed you and you were completely okay with maybe helping them, but obviously at some point they came into your place where you didn't really know what they were doing. So
all right.
I'm just I'm just asking this question because I'm just having a hard time swallowing this pill. That as a blind person versus, someone who had sight, like I had sight. So I know the difference between when I'm walking into something and knowing something that I can visually see to something that I can't visually see. I can definitely picture someone walking behind me with, that I'm not really thinking too much and they follow me all the way through. By then, I may not even known, this person was, in there taking stuff from me.
Okay, we got two different stories here. One, the person got into my apartment because I let my guard down. I let them in because I'm dropping my guard because they was talking to me nice. The other person that somebody brought up was somebody just follow me and not say anything to me. And again, I pay attention to all of my surroundings, and I can hear when someone's footsteps, if they're so close. If I can hear your footsteps, that means you're too close to me. And when I notice you're not deviating from where I'm going, you turning when I turn, then I will become alarmed, and I'm going to talk around and just talk to them. Not that I'm challenging them. I'm talking to try to let them know I am aware that you're trailing me. The person who got into my house is because I let my guard down because they were nice. I judged them that they were nice, even though I had a short 2 seconds of them giving me like a warning that I probably should not have trusted them. I did anyway. That's how they got into my place. And I think I was in another part of the room. So when they was actually on their way out, they just, as they left out my restroom, which is a straight pass to the door, they just pick stuff up, quietly and just walk out the door.
I got you. Okay,
And
so basically,
one thing that I always say is, what's the lesson learned? What did you learn from that so that it never happens again? George said he had a split second of something wrong. I say it started when George said, no, I don't need you to come in. And then that's what intuition was saying, don't do it. No. And then the perpetrator didn't hear no. And then George let him in. So that's the lesson learned there. I guarantee you he'll never do it again. Go ahead, Shri.
no. Thank you for clearing up. Thank you.
I will share this because I never did identify the gender of the person that was following me. I will let you know that it was a lady who was helping me. And so my guard got dropped because her voice was kind of appealing. So I relaxed a little bit, and I should not even done that. Just because she sounded sexy, you still could be a criminal, and she was. So that was definitely all on me.
Exactly. That's the whole point. Don't judge a book by its cover, and don't judge a voice by its sound. Excellent point. So let's talk a little bit about crime scene number 2. Now, this is when you're in a situation, and let's say you're at a bus stop, or you're in a parking lot in a park somewhere, and someone walks up to you and they said, let's go. They say, I have a gun, let's go. Or they try to kidnap you, they try to grab you and pull you, and they said, let's go. So you're thinking, if I comply with them, everything is going to be okay. What I'm telling you is they're taking you to crime scene number 2. Crime scene number 2 will not end well, because if they're just going to rob you or just assault you, they will do it right there where you are. If they're saying, let's go, we're going somewhere else, that means it's not going to end well, and they don't want witnesses. So the question is, what do? The answer is you fight and give it everything you have in order to stay right there. If it's something they're going to do it anyway, but they're less likely to do it in an open place and in a crowded place where there are potential witnesses. What you know will happen, that's a question mark, whether they'll follow through. More than likely they won't, but what you do know is 100% of the time, if they're taking you to another location, it's not going to end well. So you do everything and anything in your power to avoid going wherever they want you to go. No one takes you anywhere. What do they say? Make your limbs, what is that? When you just fall out, you become like dead weight. Don't make it easy for them to carry you. They'll have to pull you, screaming and kicking, whatever the situation is. Don't go to crime scene number 2. Now, all of us at some point are in the car, and was it Mary Ellen talked about being in an Uber? So let's talk a little bit about on-road emergencies. If you own a vehicle, you need to make sure that you have a roadside service. Whether you own a vehicle or if it's someone's vehicle that you're always a passenger in, one of the greatest gifts you can give is an auto club membership. We got one for our daughter, paid for it for years. That way we didn't have to worry if she broke down on the side of the road with our grandchildren. We knew help was coming. She had to make a phone call, and a tow service is coming. Someone's coming to give her a jump start. So if you have a car, you're in a car on a regular basis, roadside service is a great gift to give to anyone. So someone talked about earlier, and I forget who it was, where do you go? What happens if you're in a situation and you need help? I heard someone say that you go to a police station. I'm going to debate that. If you think about any time you've ever been to a police station, whether to file a report or any kind of program, one thing you'll notice about a police station is there are no police officers just hanging around outside. They're not usually sitting around in the lobby. So instead of going to a police station, where should you go? Keeping in mind, witness potential is key. If someone's following you, you feel nervous and afraid, where do you go?
Call 911.
Derek,
Call 911.
call 911. Let's say they're hot on your tail. You're either walking or you're in a car with someone and you know you're being followed. Instead of going to a police station, what's a better
This
choice?
is Shree.
Go ahead, Shree.
Go somewhere with lots of people.
And where might that be?
Mall,
A mall, or even think about a convenience store,
restaurant.
right? There's always people coming and going. The windows are open, well lit. The clerks, if anyone notices, the clerks are always looking outside, scanning the parking lot, scanning the gas pumps, always looking around. Get to a convenience store. Criminals don't want witnesses, and that's where they know people are looking. Fire station. Someone even said a fire station. A lot of times fighters are sitting outside, but they may be in their bunks inside. Convenience store is the best choice. We already talked about if your car breaks down, if you have an auto club, you can call for help no matter where you are, no matter what time of day.
This is Shree.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Shree.
Just a quick question. Is there some statistic that you're going by that says don't go to the police station? Because, I always tell my daughter, if somebody's following you, you drive to the police station because most likely they're not going to follow you to a police station.
Two great schools of thought, and that is excellent point. If you go, and I'm going to tell you why that's excellent, because if you go to a police station, more than likely they're not going to go there. But if it's an urgent situation and they're determined to do something to you, and you pull up to a police station parking lot, there's no one around. So if you can bluff them by pulling into the police station, some of them may think, oh no, not doing it, not even getting involved. So that's an excellent point. But what about the person who knows that there's no one outside, no one looking, and they have that person right there? They can commit a crime. But to your point, we don't hear about a lot of crimes in police station parking lots. So that's an excellent point. If you need someone to be there, someone to witness, or you don't want to be alone, a convenience store is a great choice. And I'm going to tell you in a minute why that police station is also a good idea for your daughter to go. So that's one of those situations where you have to assess what's best. Are you afraid that that person will get out if you park the car? They'll get out and assault you before police can get out? Or do you think they're just following you and they want to see what's what? So you have to assess that situation.
This is Terry. If I were going somewhere and I knew that there wasn't anybody in the immediate vicinity, I would instruct the driver to honk the horn, turn on the lights, do whatever you need to do to draw attention to the car so that people will come by, and maybe a policeman might come out and check to see what's going on.
Excellent point. That's increasing witness potential. So some of you have alarms, like personal alarms that make sounds. You're supposed to sound that alarm. If you have car keys in your hand, it has a panic button, sound it. So the car horns start blowing and the lights start flashing, but you're drawing attention to the situation. What I always say is don't expect anyone to come to your rescue. Would be nice, but more than likely people are not going to want to get involved. But it's still good because criminals are thinking, oh my gosh, the noise, people are going to turn around and look at me. I don't want the witnesses. I don't want the attention. So that's why that's a great idea. Making noise, drawing attention to the situation is a great idea.
Christopher.
Let's talk a little bit. Go ahead, Christopher.
Is it in that situation, like if you pull up to a police station, honking your horn 3 times, stopping, then honking 3 times, is that a better signal for some you need assistance?
It could be, but I'm just thinking about the police stations here in Kansas City.
Right.
The police stations here are stone, they're brick, they have glass. When I walk inside and I'm thinking of at least 2-3 stations, there's no one in the lobby. There is a clerk behind the glass at the counter.
Right.
So the question is, will they hear it?
Yeah,
they may
I
have
get you.
cameras in the parking lot, so maybe they will or won't, but it's not like they're sitting there in the lobby or someone's inside and they can look out the window when they hear it. So I would be very careful relying upon that.
What about even in just a public place like the mall or the restaurant or that,
That's a
doing
different
something
story.
like that? Okay.
That's a different story. Yes.
Got you. Thank you.
Yeah, because people will stop and turn around. Excellent point. Where there are people, and you hear car alarms all the time, and people used to say, well, they don't work because no one's doing anything. The car is still there. because no one's still trying to fiddle with the car and deal with the car and steal it when the horn's sounding and the lights are flashing. They leave it alone. That's why that sound is going on and on forever. They don't want the witness. They don't want the attention. What I wanted to
Tracey.
also talk about. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This is George. Two quick points I want to make to everybody. One, guys, I just wanted you guys to. I want to paint the picture. We may think and have in our minds that the police station is safe because police are there, and that's just the reality. But I have been to stations where sometimes, if I'm going just to file a report or get somebody a copy of a driving record or something like that. Trace is right. In the lobby of the police station, there's somebody behind the window. There's not like police officers sitting in the lobby, guarding because something may happen. Yes, police are around, but they're not there in the lobby that much. Not a lot of them. So going to the police station, if you're able to get inside and make some noise to draw attention to you, that's fine. But sometimes you got to get there. The second point I wanted to bring up is when you're talking about it, if we are someplace and we want to notify or do something to as like a sign of call for help. And Tracy, I apologize. I don't know if you have this on your agenda now, but I know on our iPhones, we have a thing where you can list emergency contacts. In that emergency contact, you put somebody's name, their phone number, things like that. And if you hit your lock screen button on your phone and you hold it, it's going to trigger the emergency alert. Meaning, not only is it going to notify 911, because I've done this by accident. That's why I know the hard way. That I think I was just trying to unlock my phone or something where I held it down too long. Your phone make this noise too for like about a half of a second. It's kind of like a siren, but it's not, and it's sort of loud, but not extremely loud. But what happens is it activates the emergency feature, which it calls 911. But now also anybody that you have on their list, they get notified of, you may be in trouble. And when I've accidentally hit that, I had like 6 people listening on there, and I think 4 of them actually called me to make sure I'm okay. And wherever I'm traveling to, if I don't deactivate that, it tracks wherever I'm going. They know exactly where I'm at, they know when I'm going, they know when I got home, and all of that until I turn that feature off, that the alert the emergency is no longer liable right now, that I am safe. So that's one thing you can set up on your phones. I think it's in the help section that you can set up emergency contacts. And if you hold your lock button down for a while, it triggers that. And not only would 911 be alert, because they'll call you back and ask you, do you need police or do you have an emergency? You can tell them, no, I hit the button by accident. But also anybody you have on a list, they will get a message of something danger going on. That's all I have.
Great points, George. And I am going to address that, but I'm glad that you brought it up now because there are so many apps out there, safety apps. And one thing that I say an app must have, it must have the GPS location. And secondly, I'd like it to have the live voice. So what was I did not write it down. The one that you mentioned, was that Terry Ann or
Ira?
Someone mentioned that app Ira. That app is live, and so there's someone who is witnessing and who can help you. What I'm afraid of is if there was an app that allows you to push a button and send an emergency alert to your contact. If your contacts are not paying attention, if their phone is in their pocket, in their purse somewhere, then you're pushing a button and saying, hey, help me, and no one's coming. So that's what I'm afraid of. So I'm impressed, George, that you had 4 people who immediately called you back. So I guess it depends on the day and the time. But our phones, the feature that I like is that it will call for law enforcement, for the police to come. So you at least know help is on the way because they can find your location and they will come. So that's an excellent point. But if you just have an app that sends an alert, hey, I'm in trouble, come help me, it's too late. By the time you push it, you're already in trouble. By the time they get there, they're coming to a crime scene. So it must have a way that you can talk to someone, and then the maybe would-be perpetrator hears you talking, and then they know that help is coming faster, and then it may help stop the crime. So
this is Terry.
Oh, go ahead, Terry.
The thing that George is talking about is that it actually calls 911. In the States, it's 911. In other places, it's other things, but it does call, and an emergency dispatcher will pick up in addition to alerting the people that you have chosen to be alerted in case of an emergency. And the other way you can activate 911 if you don't want to have that holding the side button enabled, you can press that side button 5 times in a row quickly, and that will also activate the 911 as well.
Exactly. And thank you for making that point. And that's for iPhones as well as Androids. Thank you so much for making that point. If you have a vehicle, one thing that you can do to prevent crimes, and it seems so basic, is like, don't leave your valuables in sight. So many people think I'll just leave my laptop or my backpack or my suitcase or my, what do you call it? Not the laptop case. I'll just leave it here in the car. No one can see. Criminals are always looking for the opportunity. If they walk by your car and they see an item of value, it takes seconds for them to break the window and take it. The easier thing, of course, is to keep it out of sight. Hide it in the car, put it in the trunk. And you all have heard by now, don't wait till you're at your destination to put it in the trunk, because the criminal could be sitting there waiting and watching, and they know exactly which car to go to. So before you arrive at your destination, have the valuable out of sight. So that's an easy prevention tool. Every vehicle needs to have, oh, go ahead, Shree.
I'm just going to share a story that happened to my brother-in-law to just tell you how things have gotten very techy for the criminals. So my brother-in-law had his truck parked out, and this guy had a sensor that picks up the signal of the key fob for his truck. And all it was doing is just running through the cycle of picking the fob signal, that it automatically, once it found the signal for this key fob for his truck, it unlocked the door and turned the alarm off, and he took the truck.
That used to be and that is true. They do that with vehicles. They used to do that with garage doors openers. They used to have the rolling code. So they would drive through the neighborhood trying to figure out the code so they could open garage doors. I'm sure you all have heard the news stories about Kia's, the Kia challenge, where some idiot on TikTok was explaining how to steal Kias really easy. There's some defect in the software and they can steal them easy. I just had a meeting where someone was saying, first and foremost, the police stations everywhere are giving away the club to keep your car from being stolen. And Kia is also providing free service to update the software so that it can't happen. So if someone has a Kia, it's more than likely going to get stolen. Someone even said that the insurance company would not insure her son who had a Kia because of this issue. Anyway, what he said is, like, when you get out of your car, you push the lock button and then you just think, wait a minute, maybe I didn't lock it. Let me push it again. He said, just do it the first time, because the second time you push it, the criminal could be circling the parking lot and they're waiting for you to push it. And just like you said, Shree, and that allows them to access and to steal the code. So one time, and then, like you said, the technology is frightening, and it allows criminals to just infiltrate every part of our life. So that's why we have to have a plan. We have to be aware of these things and stay one step ahead of them. Every single vehicle has to have a few items. One is a jumper cable. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Even if you have an auto club membership, a jumper cable needs to be in your car. So imagine if you're somewhere stranded and someone comes along and says, can I help you? And you say, I just need a jump. They say, I don't have a cable. You don't have a cable. So now you're waiting for the tow truck or the service technician to come give you a jump. If you have a cable, you can get a jump and be down the road. Another thing every car should have is a call police sign. Someone mentioned it. If you're stranded in your car on the side of the road, you're supposed to sit in your car and wait for help to arrive. What about that perpetrator who's looking and they said, oh, there's someone in the car, there's just a couple of people or one person, perfect target. On the side of the road, no one's paying attention. So you look like an easy target. If you have a call police sign in the back window, where everyone is in a light reflective sign, so everyone driving by will see a sign that says call police. If you have a phone and you're not able to use the phone, I guarantee you, every car going by who sees that call police sign is calling the police to get help to you. And I also guarantee you that maybe would-be perpetrator sees that sign and they know everybody's already called the police. So all of a sudden, you don't look like a target anymore. So those are tools
This is Marty.
that should be in every vehicle. Hey, Marty.
I heard about jumper cables that
Mhm.
mechanics are saying to be careful with them and not even to use them, because I know someone who used a jumper cable to have her car jumped, and the surge actually ruined the electronics.
That can happen, I imagine, but if you think
It did.
about it,
It did happen. It did happen
right.
to someone I
It
knew.
doesn't happen often though, which is a good thing, but I know that it can happen. And I'm the girl who would be afraid to use a jumper cable for that very reason. But if you follow the instructions, the odds are that it won't happen. But we can't get around jumper cables. That's how you get a jump start. In any situation, whether it's a professional tow truck or just a person. But the key is to use them safely. And then yes, that there can be a surge and that will be dangerous. So I agree with that. So many and George, you know what? When you were telling me the time, it's like there's no way I might go up to the time. So I appreciate it. I love that you all are talking and interacting, because that means that this is resonating with you and it gives you food for thought. Let's talk a little bit about online purchases. Almost everyone here has ordered something online and had a package delivered, whether it's Amazon, eBay, Walmart, wherever. You've had a package delivered. One of the bigger issues are porch pirates. They're stealing packages from your porch, no matter where you live. And people think, well, I live in a nice neighborhood, I don't worry about that. The nice neighborhoods are where the good stuff is. So everyone has to worry about it. Some people would follow the Amazon trucks, and as soon as this truck makes a delivery, they jump out and grab the package. So a choice is having the packages delivered to there are places where you can have like a UPS store, places like that, have it delivered to your job. Also, if you sell online, my daughter, I remember her selling some shoes that my grandkid had outgrown. She was on her way to someone's apartment to deliver. It's like, wait a minute, you don't know who they are and you don't know if that is safe, but she did it. She got lucky. It was okay. Here's where the police station comes in. Many police stations said to handle your transactions at the police station. They may even designate a spot in the parking lot for online transfers. You can go inside the lobby. So if someone says, I want to buy your radio or your phone, you can say, great, meet me at the police station. I'll be waiting in the lobby and we can handle business there. If they have ill intentions, they're going to not show up. If they're legitimate, they're going to appreciate that you're in the police station because they don't know you either. Sometimes if it's a bigger item, that's where the police station has a certain spot, a parking lot, where it says this is for, online transactions. So, if you pull up there to do an exchange, then more than likely they have cameras there, and the maybe would-be person who might want to victimize you, they know you're going to a police station, and the minute they hear that, that's where they change their mind. Okay, and you can limit your deliveries to one day of the week, so a day that you're home or that you know that someone's going to be there, and watch out for it. Many times it's advised that you don't even use your home address. Get a P.O. box, or again, have a locker. Some grocery stores have like the Amazon lockers, and they deliver your items there, or the UPS store. So home delivery could be an issue. Let's talk a little bit about making your home safe and secure. And I'd like
This
to do
is
it yourself
Terry.
kind of things. Oh, go ahead, Terry.
Before you get to that, one thing I've heard about, picking a specific day to have your goods delivered, unfortunately, that can be, there are pros and cons to everything, right? But my point is that it can become a problem if there is somebody stalking your house, and this person figures out that, oh yeah, she has her packages always delivered on Thursdays, so this is a good day for me to be there to steal whatever that item might be, or whatever. Sometimes consistency, it can be a blessing or it can be a curse.
Or another way to look at that, Terry, is if you say you pick one day a week to have everything come, as opposed to the same day. So if you know like you're saying, every Thursday, then the criminal knows every Thursday I'm going shopping, right? Or if you just say one day for everything. So this week, Monday is when all packages are coming. Next week, it's Friday. So you can look at it that way too. So excellent point. Now, let's talk a little bit about how to secure your home. How many of you all have ever complained about a nosy neighbor? Anyone? No? So
This
everyone
is
here has had good
Terry.
neighbors.
Yes, I
Okay,
have.
so and some of us have neighbors who just won't stop. They won't stop being nosy. Let me also tell you that a nosy neighbor could be your best security system. A nosy neighbor knows who belongs at your house and who doesn't belong there. A nosy neighbor is typically the one in the neighborhood who's looking out and who knows everyone coming and going, which can be a detriment. But like you said, it could also be a positive. In my neighborhood, I'm the nosy neighbor. Now, here's what happened. I have my home office and I look out the window, so I know who belongs on my block. I know whose car, I know where, who belongs there, how many people live in a house. I make it a point to know my neighbors on either side and across the street. If someone's garage door is open, I'm sending a text, close our garage door. If my garage door is open, I know they have my information. I'm getting a text. So know your neighbors. One time I saw the house across the street, there was a U-Haul backed in the driveway. And I saw people, it's like, that's not the owner. Something's not right. So I called 911. While I'm waiting for 911, I see these two people going around the backyard. Obviously, the owner wasn't home. Then they come around the front and they climbed up on the little balcony like they're trying to see if a window's open. It's like, what's going on? And then they had pizza delivered to them in the driveway. It's like, something's not right. Anyway, it wasn't my business to decide if it's legal or not. I called 911 and I let the police sort it out. The police came, turned out they're friends of the neighbor. They were waiting for him to get home from work. So many times we say, it's not my business. I don't want to be involved. But those are the times when, if you do something like that, your neighbor will appreciate that you're looking out for them. But flip the script. If someone's pulled a U-Haul up to your house and backed in, and your neighbors know it and no one said anything, you're going to have a problem. So nosy neighbors could be a blessing in disguise as long as they're not evil or mean. Neighbors could be your best thing. Another thing you can
Tracy,
do, yes.
I remember the first apartment that I got when I was in Kansas City on 75th Street, 75th and Prospect. And
I remember
yeah, I think
that.
you dropped me off there before. And the owner, he had a shop that was like in the back. So he watched everything. He was one of those, what you call a nosy neighbor, because I think one time I had somebody bringing something or delivering something to the place. And since I didn't make him aware or anybody aware, he came out there and said, "Who are you looking for?" To draw deterrent. So he was good.
Right. So, I mean, in that case, it's good. But if he's the one who's monitoring your company and asking questions and grilling them, that's where you draw the line. But in
This
that
is
situation,
Ned.
Hi, Ned.
Good, Ned.
Yes. One time I had a neighbor from across the street ring my front doorbell, and she wanted to know if I was okay because she noticed a strange car in my driveway, and I had company, and she had never seen that car before. But she wanted to know if I was okay.
Don't you appreciate that?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Neighbors are number one security system, everyone. And same token, be that neighbor. Anything out of the way, don't try to rationalize it. Don't say, not my business. Call 911. Let them sort it out. One way you can decide whether or not your home is burglar proof, and I think I heard a police officer say this, is to walk outside of your home and pretend that you're a burglar and you have to break in. And you're thinking, I can't do that. So imagine you have a pot of water boiling on the stove, okay? You lock yourself outside. Or let's say the baby, your grandbaby, your child is inside crying. You lock yourself outside. My question is, how would you get back in your house? I guarantee you, every single one of us knows of a door or a window or something that might not be quite secure. We can figure out a way in our house. And if you can, you better know that a professional criminal can do it too. So that's the opportunity to, right now, before something happens, is to address the locks in your property. If there's a window that's too accessible, to make sure that has some kind of, I don't say burglar bars because those can be a fire trap, but to have good locks or a window that's secure. So if you can figure out how you would get in your house in an emergency situation, a criminal can too. If you've ever said, well, if I were lock myself in the basement, I can just kick the door from the garage to the basement open. If you can do it, a criminal can too if it's a hollow door.
This is Helene. Yeah, I have a question for the blind community. Is there any digital, not digital, but tactile keypads if you wanted to alarm your house to be able to, lock it, unlock it, to do that? Because it seems like so many of them are digital. and they would be useless for me.
Yeah,
That is
Helene,
something
there
that
are
we're
several.
looking at too, George. I want to hear this.
Yeah, no, there are several. You can choose. You don't. Yes, a lot of them are digital, but some of them have like buttons, like a telephone keypad that you can press to arm your alarm or disable your alarm.
Can,
So if you
can,
can dial like a phone, like
I
they
know, but
used to.
do you know the names of any of them?
Almost.
This is Ned.
I don't know the name of them, but I know just about every popular alarm system do have that, like Brinks, like ADT, like Protect America. That's just three that I have off the top of my head, but I think you can choose what type of device you want. Go ahead, Ned.
Yes, my ADT alarm system, the buttons are tactile.
Yes,
You don't
you
necessarily
can
have
buy
to
a
get
Brinks. You can buy a Brinks tactile keypad lock from Home Depot.
And here's another thing too, Halim. You can actually, if you have a smartphone, you can pair your alarm system to your phone, so you can tell it arm the house or disarm the back window or something like that. So there are ways that you can actually operate your alarm system from your phone if you want to do that. But there also are keypads, tactile keypads that you can also use.
That's something we're in the market for as well, George. But I know Schlage has a line and all of them have the keypad on it. And so with smart technology, my goal is to make sure we get one that Will can use as well. And like you said, you can get voice commands. I'm telling you, smart homes are amazing and they're accessible. So that's something that we're actually starting to look into. I know we have a fingerprint, is it fingerprint lock for your door? Amazing. And that's biometric. So there are tools out there. So thank you all for jumping in.
You can also even pair your smart lady in the box to arm your place. I don't want to say because I don't want to activate everybody's system, but the A lady and the Google Play, you could even ask them to arm the house or something like that. So yeah, there's all kind of ways that you can independently activate your alarm systems.
Yes, this is Helene.
Go ahead, Helene.
It's funny because Jody said to me, ask your A lady to bark like a dog. And it was so interesting because you could say which kind of a dog. And, Doberman Pinscher sounded real. They bark for 2 minutes. It's Jurassic Bark.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. And that's the tool. The tool name is Jurassic Bark.
Yes.
That's amazing. There used to be one called Rex, and it was a motion detector. If someone walked up to your house, it starts barking. The closer they got, it could see through the walls or sense them through the walls, the more aggressive the barking was. So exactly. Okay, so let us talk. And I'm looking at where we are. I'm looking at the time. So some of these I'm going to touch upon. Let's just talk about securing your home. One thing you have to make sure is if you have any landscaping, it is not overgrown. If your bushes are too out of control and they're covering the windows, you're providing a hiding spot for burglars. So you may not care whether or not the shrubs are trimmed nicely. Just don't give criminals a hiding spot. So keep them trimmed low. Now, lighting is a big deal. Again, criminals are cowards. They don't want to be seen. My house is the one that looks like Fort Knox. I have a pole light. I have a front porch light. I have floodlights, and that's just up front. In the back, I have a couple of floodlights. What I know is that if a criminal steps in my driveway, it's like they're on stage. Witness potential. I can look out my window and see them. My neighbors can see them, and passersby can see them. Criminals don't want that. What they want is the house that's dark because they can do what they have to do. No one will see them and they can get away with it. So whether or not you have any lights or something that you can turn on, you don't have to worry about turning them on and forgetting it. You can get a sensor. I have what is an adapter that I screwed into my front porch light, and then I screwed a light bulb in, and it's a dusk to dawn sensor. I don't touch a switch. When it's dark, it automatically comes on. When it's light, the daytime, the light goes off. Same thing in the back. I don't touch any switches, but my house is lit up. So those are sensors that you can get at the hardware store. Lighting is so important, and it makes me nervous when I look out and I see dark houses. You're just providing cover for criminals. Okay, we talked about the locks. Let us talk quickly here about social media. And all of us are on, well, not all of us, most of us are on social media, and we're on there because it's fun, it's social. We need to be aware that social engineers are on social media and their sole purpose is to get information that you typically would not share. They're trying to trick you into sharing information that could help them steal your identity or hack your account. There are different games and questions that come up on social media. For example, what was your first car? Share a picture. What street did you grow up on? What was your first pet's name? What was your favorite teacher, your first school, whatever. All of that information could be on one of those little fun quizzes. And we do it because it's fun. Criminals are behind that. They're social engineers. Now, here you are telling them the street you grew up on, your first pet's name, your first car. Guess what happens when you forget a password and you're going to the security question to log into an account, whether it's a bank account, any kind of online account? You're going to get security challenges. So all of a sudden, here's the security challenge to get into your account. What was your first car? What was your first pet's name? So do you see what happened there? They're tricking you into giving information that they can use to hack your account and guess your password. Be very careful what kind of questions that are asked on there. They could ask you questions, your first job, they make it fun. So you just don't see it coming. What about the detective names? What's your favorite color and your favorite TV show and whatever that is, that's your detective name, tell us. Or your soap opera name could be your middle name and the street you grew up on. So we're having fun and they're studying us and they are trying to figure out how to guess our password. So beware. They even get tricky. I saw one that, who is her? An actress says, there's a song that was #1 on your 18th birthday is how your 2022 is going to play out. So they're asking the question, the song that was #1 when you turned 18 is how your 2022 is going to play out. Do you see the trick there? If you list the song, of course, it's going to be obvious what year that was. They can guess your age, your date of birth, and then boom, that's another way to hack into your account. One thing that you need to know is if you take pictures with your phone, that there is what's called a geotag embedded. You post that picture online. People can tell where you are based on that picture because they can see that geotag, which tells the location. Can anyone tell me, how do you avoid that? How do you keep your location from showing up when you take a picture and upload it online?
Disable location.
Exactly. Disable the location, take your picture and post your picture. Otherwise, let's say you're just hanging, and let's say you have a stalker, or let's say you're hanging out. And I had a situation where a woman took a picture of her grandchild and posted it on her Facebook page. Her son said, get my kid's picture off of there. I don't know who those people are on your page, and I don't want them knowing where I live. So just be very careful, disable the location, take the picture, and then turn it back on so that you can get where you are going.
This is Terry.
Oh, go ahead, Terry.
I never, ever post pictures of a trip that I've taken until after I get home. Unfortunately, occasionally somebody with good intention will maybe post something on Facebook, but I try my darndest to not post things. And I tell my friends, do not post any pictures that would let people know that I'm not home.
Right. And if they tag you, then that goes on your timeline. So anyone looking at your page will say, oh, Terry's out of town. Oh, and she's in paradise for what, a week? So you're exactly right. And for those who think, oh, no one knows where I am, people can find out where you live just either by Googling you or doing a little research. So that's a great idea. Do not post until you get home, and then you can share all you want. Now, let us talk a little bit about cybercrime. And this is something I want to make sure we cover tonight because that is prevalent now. Cybercrime is not because of your technology. It's not because you don't have the firewall or antivirus or that you don't have your phone, the password. Cybercrime is a human problem. You are the one who controls whether or not you're going to be a victim of cybercrime. If you download something, if you click on a link, then you are opening up yourself to be a victim. If you don't do that, the likelihood of being a victim is slim to none. So I always say pause, stop, and think before you click anything, before you download anything. And cyber criminals are coming at us from different directions on our Facebook pages. They are in our messages. Whoever thought that a criminal would target us there? I got a text message that said, hey, your PayPal password has been compromised. Click here to reset it. My finger was headed to click, and it's like, whoa, pause, stop, and think. So I took that time. I went to my PayPal account, and of course, there was nothing wrong. But for those of us who panic, and it's like, oh my gosh, something's going on, and then you immediately click, you've opened up your computer to malware, to viruses. You've allowed the hacker in. So don't download anything, don't click anything. I always say go out and go directly to the site. If you get all of us get those emails, thank you for paying your invoice for $600. If this is not correct, please click this link to report it. And then how many of us would panic and say, oh, whoa, I can't do that. Let me click the link. Don't do it. Go to your bank account to make sure nothing has been taken from your account, or just go directly to the company that says, hey, we made this payment, and contact them directly, but never from the information contained within the email, because that's the cyber criminal emailing you. So pause, stop, and think before you do anything. You already mentioned, Terry, don't announce vacation plans when out of town. Be careful if you show pictures of valuables. You got that fancy new stereo system or that giant screen TV, and you're posting it on social media. Hey, everybody, look what I have. Be careful, because cyber criminals could be casing your house from your social media posts. There's a question whether or not to share pictures of kids online. That's something my daughter loves to do. I've got 3 grandkids, and she loves posting their pictures. You have to be very cautious about that. You don't know who's watching. And if you post a picture of a kid and the name of the school, like they have a school shirt on, somebody looking now knows where your kid goes to school. So you have to, unfortunately, be very careful about what you post.
This is Helene.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Helen.
Helene.
Oh, Helen. That's what I thought I said at first, but it sounded like Helen. Go ahead.
Yeah. I had a situation that happened, and I live in Woodstock, so New York. So it's a very cool town, it's very hip. And I went with the Commission for the Blind, and I went shopping. And there was a window washer just doing windows in the store that I was going into. And I said, do you do homes windows? And he said, yes. So I went inside and I said, is that guy that does your window, is he reliable, responsible? So they said yes. So I got his number, and that was in May, 3 months ago. And then I decided all of a sudden that I'd have my windows washed. And I called and I said, this who it was, and does he still do the windows? And yes. And he said, and I should have really had a little bit more smarts after everything that you said, but I'm an early childhood teacher and I'm very trusting. And I said, he said, it's $250 and you have to Venmo, a deposit $200. And I don't Venmo, so I have someone from Be My Eyes who Venmos my money. And so he gave names to do the Venmo. And I thought that's his name, even though he's called Cody, but as the names that he gave me were not those names. And I had my Be My Eyes person Venmo $200. And then 2 days later, this was last week, I called to say, is he coming? He said, as soon as you pay the rest, the $50. And I said, well, I can't Venmo. The person's not available, but I have $50 in cash. And he said, no, you can't do it this way. It has to be Venmo. And I feel so gullible. But anyway, this went on and on, like a long diatribe of text messages. And finally, when I said I couldn't do it, and he said, you have to pay up, Mama. And that you have, and so I thought, and he said, I'm not going to rip you off your hard-earned money. My colleagues are waiting to come and do the windows as soon as you pay the money. And I said, well, I don't understand. I gave $200. I'm going to give you $50 cash. And he said, no, there's a genuine reason for this. Anyway, the bottom line is I just said, Cody, I just want my money back. I'm not doing the windows. And when he didn't, and he said, oh, if you want the money back, So he didn't do it. And he kept saying, you have to trust me. You have to trust me.
Mhm.
And I finally said, I just would like my money back. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go to the authorities. Anyway, on Friday, I went to the authorities. And so the police, and they're very nice, I asked Venmo, and Venmo said, I'm sorry, we can't do anything because you didn't fill out page 2 on Venmo, which would have given you protection, which I never knew. But basically, the police had to ask for the Venmo. The police officer has now gone on vacation till August 30th. And when I call the stores where he washes windows, I feel as if these people are all protecting him, saying, Cody's a good guy. He's kind of sketchy, but he comes every 2 weeks. They give him cash, but he would not take cash from me. I don't want him or any of his quote colleagues to come to the house. And I've been really not very anxious because I feel foolish, but I also want to be safe. The police told me to put a blink camera by my door and to see about alarm. And also, basically, I just feel as if why the people in the stores in a small town are protecting this guy. Like I said, whenever he comes again, would you please call me so I can call the police to go and, speak to him. His phone that he uses, that when I texted him, is what they call a burner phone. So it's not really. And I never heard these words, but I feel so foolish.
Helene, you should not feel foolish because you're a normal, nice person. He's a criminal. And all of us, every single one of us has been the victim of a crime. And after the fact, we all feel foolish, but we learn a lesson. I bet it'll never happen to you again. Am I right?
Well, first of all, why if someone's what kind of supplies is someone buying to need to get $200 deposit on $250? But the bottom line is, I'm not sure how to go about it. I can walk blindly. He knows I'm blind because I spoke to him when I was with the Commission for the Blind. He can see, he knows where I live. And I'm not saying he's going to come, and my kids would like me to just walk away and forget the $200. But I just would love to know if there's any advice out here about how to, proceed.
This is Terry. One thought I have is to notify the Better Business Bureau about this guy, because if he's got a business.
Nobody knows his last name.
Oh, okay.
He's just,
so you can't.
Yeah.
But and
Okay.
you
People in the store
should.
are part of the scam to me.
Yeah.
Just don't trust nobody like that. If he got all this information missing, that draws an alarm. Don't buy anything from him or anything like that.
But the problem is the store said, oh, yeah, he's a reputable guy.
Right.
We trust him.
I
You
hear
need
what
to
you
let
said.
that store know if,
But
and I bet
hold on,
maybe you
Helene.
already have.
One
that
second.
this
I understand
guy.
I understand what you said. What the store has told you, but obviously, like Tracey was indicating, the store might be in on it too. All of that sounds fishy. What you're describing too. I wouldn't even go to that store anymore.
This is Shree.
Go ahead, Trey.
One thing I would always suggest is get everything written in a contract. The days of verbal agreements, those days don't really exist anymore. Get any kind of work you do on your house, get it in writing.
Don't pay up front.
And make sure whatever
Absolutely.
you do,
Don't
whoever
pay
you
in
work with,
cash.
they're licensed. Sometimes we go the cheap way and go with someone who doesn't have a license. And there's a reason why we pay a little bit more for someone who has a license.
Right.
So my advice is get in contract and make sure who you deal with, they're licensed.
And also pay with a credit card when necessary. That way you can always dispute it later. So just never pay a deposit up front. Find a reputable business that doesn't require that. But lesson learned, and you can't beat yourself up over it, Helene, because they're horrible. But you're doing what you need to do to try to get some kind of satisfaction. You've reported it to the authorities. Hopefully they can stop him from doing it to someone else. You're likely not going to see your money again, but it was a lesson. And $200 was maybe a cheap lesson because he could have gotten so much more. So don't beat yourself up over it. And I am looking at the clock and I see we're about to run out of time. What I wanted to do really quickly is just to wrap up and highlight a few things. Number one
Yeah, go ahead.
is if you say again.
No, I was just saying, go ahead. Yeah, the wrap up.
Oh, okay. So if you have Google Maps on your phone, you need to know that that's a tool built in that you can find your device. If you ever lose a phone, go to a tablet, say find my device. Google will provide step-by-step timeline of where you've been with your phone, with your device. So that may be a great way to recover it. And it's also a great way to find you. You can give someone access, someone on your contact list, access to share your location. You can limit the time for just maybe the next 3 hours or for 24/7, 365 days of the year. You never turn it off. So if someone is looking for you, they can go to their phone, they can access your map, and they can see exactly where you are. So keep that in mind. It's already on your phone. It's free. Go to your settings and set up your Find My Device. One thing I wanted to touch up on before we leave, and I know we have about 4 minutes. So let's talk really quickly about artificial intelligence. This is my new, do I say passion, my new topic. Everybody's going crazy over how to use ChatGPT, Bard, Bing, Claude, all of these tools. All I want to say to you is that that information is not private. So if you enter personal information in there, for example, one of the tools, you can upload a PDF. So if you say, I'm going to upload my bank statement into this tool and it will print out, it'll read it for me and print it out. Yes, it will, but that information is public. Anyone can come along and have access to your personal information. So no personal information, addresses, bank information, anything like that. Don't do it. It could also read, like if you have a medical health insurance document, and you know those are hard to read. If you upload it, you can upload your declaration of your health insurance policy, and you can ask it a question. If I have an injury, a certain kind of injury, will this policy cover it? It could answer your questions. Make sure you blot out your personal information before you upload it, because you don't want everyone in the world to see your health insurance policy. And what if you're asking a private question about an illness that you have, and you ask, look at my document and tell me if this illness is covered? All of a sudden, you could be exposing your health information to people who you don't want to receive it. So be careful. What I really want you all to know is that there are deep fakes that everybody is creating with these tools. You see the stories on the news. One is the grandparent scam. In the old days, someone would call someone who is older, maybe because they thought their voices, they couldn't hear that well, and say, hey, grandma, could you please wire me some money? I'm in jail or I'm sick, but don't tell mom and dad. And that scam worked. But nowadays, these criminals, these cyber criminals, are using these AI tools to do a voice impersonation. So if you ever recorded any videos, anything online, anywhere with your voice, they can clone your voice and make it say things that it never said. So it can call your grandkids, it can call your kids, it can call your boss and make you say something that you've never said. That's a deep fake. You need to let everyone in your family know it should be, I'm of the mind that we need to develop security protocols in the age of deep fakes, since they're so widely available. You need to tell your kids, if I ever call you asking for money or saying something that's out of the ordinary, hang up and call me directly on my real phone. People can spoof those phone numbers and make it look like it's coming from you. Tell anyone in your family that do not fall for it, that this technology is out there, that they're to call you directly. If you own a business, you need to tell your employees, if I call you and ask for money or ask for personal information, call me directly on my regular phone. So know that these deepfakes are out here. They're creating videos of people, making people say and do things they never did. One of the ones that scared me the most was a video of Ukrainian President Zelensky coming on TV saying, hey, soldiers, the war is over, lay down your weapons. It was a deep fake. Do you see the damage that could be done? If people don't know deep fakes exist, the video looks exactly like the person. They're making it say something that the person did not say. They're impersonating them. So be careful if you get a phone call or even a video or anything that doesn't sound right. Red flags or a sense of urgency. Hey, you need to send this money. You need to do it fast. We need a gift card. Don't ask questions. We don't have time. A sense of urgency and asking for money or information, that's a no-no. So you need to say, hey, I'll call you right back and hang up. Don't try to reason with them. Don't talk to them. So that is pretty much what I have to say. It's just a warning that the tools are out there. They're great. You can use them, but just keep in mind that criminals are using them too. So don't be a victim. Unfortunately, you can't believe what you see, what you hear, or what you read. In the past, we would get these emails and they were so poorly written and they're asking for information. And then we're looking at it and it's like, that's not even written well. We know that that's a problem. They're using the chat GPT, just like you talked at the top of the hour, and they're writing beautiful emails and beautiful posts and letters saying, hey, click this link to download a file or a document, or if you want a prize, click this link to claim your prize. It could be written by a cyber criminal using chat GPT. It's going to be perfectly written now. So you can't believe what you see or what you hear. Does anyone have any questions of me?
Yeah, Trace, I have one thing that I'd like you to talk on for about a minute or as quickly as you can. This is probably one of the few things you didn't cover. My question, you covered it all. But one, I'd like to know, what is your opinion? Like if somebody is going to be traveling, unfortunately at night, walking out, and you definitely want them to be as prepared and as safe as possible. What is your opinion? Should that person or should everybody learn self-defense? Or, something like, the martial arts or the karate or something like that, or arm themselves with the devices?
Self-defense is a layer. Self-defense is not for everyone. All of us can't get up and do those physical moves, so it's not for everyone. So if you decide to learn self-defense, I know, I forget, we have a double black belt on here, and she's saying that's not the first tool I'll use. First tool is awareness, the things that we talked about today. Learn first and foremost how to avoid a dangerous situation. If you can't avoid it, then in that situation, your self-defense training is going to come into play. Also, weapons. Someone here has talked about having a gun. If you are comfortable with a gun and can use it, and you train and you practice and you have it accessible, then a gun is a great tool. Some people are afraid of guns, like me, so pepper spray is my weapon of choice. With pepper spray, you need to understand what it does and what it doesn't do. You need to know how to use it. Pepper spray has been a really good tool. I used to sell it at the conventions, and it's a good tool, and it's non-lethal. So if you spray someone and it's an accident, it's not going to kill them, but pepper spray in the face and head area will at least burn, and it will make them uncomfortable. They're rubbing their eyes, they're coughing. That gives you time to get away. The effects last anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes. So after that, they're good to go, but it gives you time to get away. So you have to do safety in layers. Number one is what we talked about, awareness. Number two, have a safety plan. Number three, have a weapon, gun, pepper spray, or an alarm that makes noise and draws attention. Number five, self-defense. Know how to, if you have to fight, you need to take a class and learn how to fight, but that's not for everyone. So you have choices, and there's not just one right answer.
Absolutely. So my point with even bringing it to you guys, because I want everybody to realize you may not be in position or probably have the coordination to learn self-defense, but don't feel bad. It's not you. Find other ways to keep yourself safe. If you have certain type of weapons, whether it be mace, whether it be taser, whatever you're going to use, make sure that you know how to use it effectively and not just get it because somebody told you to get it. Because if you use something improperly, you can not only cause harm to the wrong person, but you can probably cause harm to yourself. So learn whatever you need to learn to keep yourself safe and your loved ones safe, but don't do something because someone told you to get it. If you're not comfortable using a gun, don't get it.
Because you're not going to use it. If you're not comfortable using pepper spray, don't get it because you won't have it handy, and someone more than likely will take it away and use it against you. But if you're confident, you know how to use it and you like it, then you're going to have it accessible. You're going to know how to use it, and you'll use it on them before they get the chance to use it on you. Final thing here, antivirus software, make sure you get that for your devices. Avast, A-V-A-S-T is a free one. They have paid plans, but the free has kept me virus free on all my devices for years. So look into Avast on all devices. If you get a software patch update and it's saying update and you're saying remind me later, you're putting yourself in jeopardy because those companies are saying there is a problem and here's how you fix the cyber breach. And you upload that and it keeps your information safe. So don't put those updates off. Back up your information in case you ever get a virus and you don't have to worry about it. Two-step verification is good. Yes.
This is Jody.
Go ahead, Jody, real quick.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, self-defense is wonderful. It takes years and years. It's more of a lifestyle. And so don't think, oh, gee, I'm going to take a 4-hour self-defense course and then I'm going to be safe. Because, you can have 50 years literally of self-defense training and you still shouldn't feel safe.
Exactly. Thank you, Jody. Great point. Final thing is passwords. Make sure you have your passwords for different passwords for each account, because if they breach one account, they have access to all of your accounts. And here's my final tip. Here's the homework. HaveIBeenPwned.com is a website everybody needs to visit. HaveIBeenPwned.com. Put your phone number or put your email address in there, and it's going to give you a list of websites that have had security password breaches. I guarantee you some of the sites that you have visited, there's so many popular sites that you would never even imagine have had breaches, and it's going to tell you, change your password right now, because that password is on the dark web. If you don't change it, a cyber criminal is going to get it, and they're going to use and try it on all of your accounts. If it's the same across the board, they're going to have access to your accounts. So I'm done.
All right. Thank you.
What is
Tracy.
that
This
again?
has been-
What is that? Have I been pawned?
Yeah.
No,
Have
it's
I been pawned?
pwned? There's no vowel between the P and W. Have I been
PWN.
PWNED.com. Everybody
Okay.
needs to do that immediately. Find out which passwords you need to change.
Okay, one more time, because both of you were talking at the same time. So one person just say it.
Have
Go ahead, Tracy.
have I been pwned.com.
And how do you spell that? Yeah.
PWNED. Have
Okay.
I been PWNED? Enter your phone number or your email address and find out which of your accounts that you belong to have had the password exposed, so that you can get in there and change the password. Those are breaches.
And what was the name of the book that you mentioned in the beginning?
I'm looking at my book, The Gift of Fear. The Gift of Fear by an author named Gavin D. Becker. The Gift of Fear, and I promise you that's my favorite book. And after you read it, safety is a whole different ballgame, because he's talking specifically about instinct, intuition, your gut, and how to use it and how it keeps us safe.
Just don't read it before you go to sleep, because it'll scare the crap out of you.
It's not scary, Jody. It's empowering. It's empowering. Thank you all so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks again, Tracy.
Thank you,
All this
Tracy.
information you have brought to us has been very irreplaceable. We've got a wealth of now to be safe. And I thank you for taking time out on Thursday evening to share with us all of your knowledge. We definitely immensely appreciate it.
Thank you so
for
much.
inviting me, George. You all are great. If I
Thank
can
you.
get a copy of the reporting,
Thank you very much.
I'd appreciate it. Thanks,
Okay.
everybody. Everybody be safe.
Thank
Thank you.
Tell William I say hey.
I will, George. Everybody be safe now.
Okay,
You
guys.
as well.
In closing, I'll let you guys know that next month's meeting, of course, we don't have the topic yet. I have an idea. I just need to share it with Sandia and Michael first before we release it. But we definitely will be here on September the 28th, if my mental calendar is correct.
You're
For
correct.
another version, it's iBUGS Life. So thanks for getting up.
This is
that?
Katrina. This is
Yeah.
Katrina.
Go ahead.
I would like for her to share to our organization in Montgomery, the Montgomery chapter. Is there a way I could get her information, or could y'all get my information to give to her or something?
I'll definitely reach out to her to see if there's an email she wants to share or something like that. I know her website is for her company is called safeandsecuritysource.com.
Okay.
So SAFEANDSECURITYSOURCE. I know I'm going kind of fast, but safeandsecuritysource.com is their website. She may have contact information there. Other than that, I'll be sure to reach out to her to see if
What's
she
her
can share
name?
with you. Her name was Tracey Hawkins. It's Tracy with an EY. TRACEY.
Okay.
Hawkins.
Well, that's all I need.
INS.
That's all I need.
And if you want to email me your information, then I'll share with that. But yeah, her website should be there.
What's your
and it
email?
may be an email link. My email is GEORGE. That's George. Nothing in the middle, so no dots, no asterisk. Just the last name, which is BATTISTE at sbcglobal.net.
S what?
SBC.
SBCglobal.net.
That's correct.
Cancel.
Is it on the
Stop
iBook
recording
thing?
button. Cancel.
I
Is it on?
am. I don't know if Sonia got myself an iBook. I am not sure, but I know they got my information.
Okay.
Audio
Okay.
now
Thank
unmuted.
you.
Thank you,
All
Joyce.
right.
Thanks, everybody. Good
All
night.
right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you,
Stop
everybody.
recording.
Good
Bye.
night.
After
Good
stop
night.
recording. Text. Net has